Hey guys, my name is UntiTitled. I'm a Diamond Bodvar main and I'm gonna teach you how to win every game on Bodvar. First up, you're gonna want to use the strength stance because it takes Bodvar's dex stance from 6 to 5, which is actually a very small difference. It's like -3 recovery frames overall on the sword, which is what Bodvar will mostly use to rack up damage. Now, at the start of the game, you want to pick up a sword and not a hammer. I mean, if you pick up hammer and you can't get a sword, then use it. But preferably you want sword because it can do a lot of combos and strings. I'm not gonna go over all the combos and strings because it's gonna take a long time to do that. And it's not character specific, so you can go and watch the videos for those instead that I've made. I made sword guide, combos, guide for sword, and same with hammer. But these are a couple of the things that you can kind of do at low damage. You can't do this at when the enemy's higher health or higher damage, I mean, because they get knocked out a little bit farther and you can't follow up as easily. And in that case, you switch to hammer. Because with hammer, when the enemy's low health, you can knock them out pretty far and then you follow up with like another side air or edge guard or whatever and do this and that. And then you just knock them out a lot easier. So you take full advantage of the strings of the sword and then the force of the hammer later. Now let's actually talk about something that is character specific, the signatures. First we got the neutral signature, which looks kind of cool. The animation is super nice, but it's a lot worse than it looks because the hitboxes are only in front of you. It's not like this giant tornado like the animation makes it look out to be. It has like no range. The hitbox is puny, practically the smallest it can actually be until this part, which is pretty much as good as a hammer, neutral air, or side air anyways. The best time to use it is when the enemy's gonna dodge like above you because most of the animation is above. You can catch them below though. And it's also a decent punish when you're like stacked and the enemy just spot dodged or like they miss an attack or something. The force is still pretty good at like around 130. You could knock them out at the side of the map. And it does have a pretty decent startup time, but the problem is that if you miss, the large amount of active frames and the short range will make it so that you're super punishable. So I rarely use this. The only times is like when they're cornered and they kind of have to move through you to have a better positioning. So let's move on to the Damsik. It's super good. It's probably my favorite Bodvar signature that I use almost all the time at the corner when they're trying to get back. As you can see, it knocks out super early. This is only 120 when most sticks would kill at like 110 at the edge. And that is almost pretty much a kill. And even lower, only at 90, this is like super light orange. They get knocked so far down that you can edge guard super easily with like a ground pound or that, or like just a throw. It's not so good on the ground because it hits straight down, so they'll get knocked into the ground. And the hitbox is really great, so you could down signature super safely. Like they're gonna be right here, and a lot of times the enemies will try to do neutral air, which will cover like a corner right here, but you can avoid that by being like right here, and then it will still hit. So if the enemy accidentally like nairs like too high, or they jump here to side air or something like that, or even if they like jump, they'll still probably get hit because the hitbox is deceptively high and it even goes straight downward, which is really nice for a gravity cancel. You barely do half jump and gravity cancel. Even if the enemy's just standing like this, they'll still get hurt. Or if they double jump really quickly, or like they jump into a dodge, they can still get hit by this because it has pretty decent amount of active frames and it hits such a huge area. And the side stick is also really good because it hits the enemy straight, therefore it has a pretty good kill potential. Like at 120, I think it would actually knock him out right here. Yep. Bodvar will, when using it, he will jump up a little, hit in front, and hit a little bit diagonally above. So even if the enemy does like a half jump right there, he'll still get hit. So this is really good when the enemy is cornered and you're like in the middle, which happens like all the time, right? In this position, the enemy thinks they're safe because the max you can do is like this, which they can jump away pretty easily. They react since it's a long spin, or you do this, which actually shouldn't hit, like that, or that. But this one will give you the extra boost you need. by jumping all the way to the end. And it's relatively fast, so a lot of people can't react to it. So if they're just doing this a lot, they'll just get hit by it. Now the thing with all of his signatures is that they're actually like slower than most signatures in the game, but they pack a really big punch, which is why I pretty much only use all of them when the enemy is at like light red, except for Damsik. I could use it at like orange or even dark yellow. And there's no true combo with any of these, but this one looks pretty cool. So you could do that. It's not worth it to me when I could just do a true combo for extra damage. Onto the hammer. Pretty much same thing. They're all slow and strong, so you want to use them in very specific situations. Starting with this one, the situation is pretty much when they jump forward or dodge forward, because it has a lot of active frames and it can hit pretty high, and it's really big. What you really want to do is you want to corner the enemy, and then they have to dodge forward. That's when you do it. So it could be when they're by the edge like this, or when they're trying to recover. A lot of times people will try to recover like this, especially if you throw out like a couple of new side airs like this, side air, and then they dodge forward and you go boom. It has a lot of force, but it hits diagonally, so it doesn't kill the enemy that often. But at 140, it should do the trick. Yeah, and especially if you catch the enemy jumping, because this is like one of the only sigs that goes like upward. So the higher the enemy is, the more likely they are to be knocked out, which is a really good time to when you hit them with neutral air and they have to go backwards, or back to the stage. Then a lot of times they'll dodge forward, thinking dodge down, thinking that they can dodge a nair, because nair will like hit a little bit above, so they'll like dodge down, but then the bear will cover a lot more area, including stat, and that could often hit. Now you could do this, but it's not true, so I usually don't really bother. The side signature is probably one of the best signatures. Really iconic move. It hits in front of you and really high above. So if the enemy's just running away by the edge and they're jumping up and down, you could go in, and a lot of times this will actually hit. This also works really great as an edge guard because it has this little parallel line at the bottom. You could even use this as bait. You go side sig into neutral signature, because then they'll try and dodge through after it. And this is a pretty unique case of doing side light into side sig. I do this so many times, and a lot of times to catch enemies, because you can't really do anything else. You can stomp, but it's too far, or you can neutral light, but again, it's too far. And of course, side light into side light is slow because doing the same move will have a slight delay. Plus, the side stick has a really big hitbox anyways, so if the enemy tries to retaliate by doing like a neutral light after they wake up, or they jump a little, you can catch all of that with this. Or if they even spot dodge, sometimes you can just like hold it a little and then you can still hit it. And side light is probably one of the easier moves in the game for the hammer to hit. So a lot of times you can pay attention to how they react. Even if they like dash backwards or dodge backwards, you could follow it up with a chase dodge into a side sig. And this is probably the closest thing to signature combo that Bodvar has, the stomp into side sig. It's a 2 dodge window, so they have to dodge perfectly. They can't just jump out of it because it covers too much area. You can see here, like it's impossible. So maybe you catch them at after they spot dodge, then you can do this for massive amount of damage. Probably the best punish for a spot dodge. And if you have trouble remembering literally everything I said, just remember this. His signatures are really strong, but easy to punish. So you only really want to do it when the enemy's high damage or low health. And it's the most useful when the enemy is cornered or when they are being edge guarded because of their huge hitboxes. If you made it this far, watch both of my hammer and sword guides, then practice more than anyone else has ever done before. You'll be able to win every match easily with Bodvar. Just like that. Good luck, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video, which is probably just gonna be Cassidy, because I'm gonna do like all the legend guides just like at the top, starting at the top left, which is Bodvar, and then Cassidy, and then I think Orion or something like that. Bye bye.